Introduce yourself real quick and what they have. We got some breakfast back there by Andy's Appliances. Is that right? You want to say hi? Yeah. Tell us about the lobster tail. Where'd you catch them? The Alaskan king crab. There you are.
Yeah, so I'm with Andy's Appliance Repair. We brought breakfast. Make sure you guys get some. Just Panera, smattering of different things. So Andy's Appliance Repair has been in Omaha for about 22 years now. We've actually been open for 52 years. We started in Lincoln, expanded to Omaha. Kind of a natural progression of things. So I'm the general manager. We actually have 4 locations now. So I'm the general manager over all 4. I can just kind of run you through a couple of things. So we're a preferred partner with Berkshire Hathaway. So you can refer us for anything. I know sometimes we've ran into many situations where you're down to the wire on getting the closing done, and something happens, washer's not working right, fridge is not cooling, whatever it is. And I know sometimes that causes a wrench. So we can get our technicians out relatively quickly, get it fixed for you, get the closing finished, et cetera, or work out any way we can to get you guys, let you guys do your jobs. We just, to throw some of our KPIs out there, so we have our average from the minute that a person calls in to the time that their refrigerator is, or their appliance is fixed, is 5.8 days. So within a week, we average 1.3 trips per repair. So about 72% of the time, we are fixing it on the first stop. We kind of have a little bit different process than other companies. We actually look through all of our tickets, pre-order parts that we think the unit may need, and that way we can get the customer fixed and everything taken care of on the first stop. If you do grab breakfast, I have set out some of these magnets. These magnets have a $25 off coupon for all of your customers. It also has a slide for your business card, so that way it keeps your name in front of them, it keeps our name in front of them, double bonus. On top of that, we actually are also offering a discount for every realtor. So if you call us personally, you'll get $10 off of your service call or $25 off of the completed repair. So if you use us personally, it's one of those things that I think if you use us once, you'll be as confident in us as I am. Our average repair ticket is $192. That's parts, labor, service call, tax, everything. That is below the regional average. Long and the short of it, we try to get every repair fixed on the first stop, get people taken care of as quickly as possible at a price that people can afford. We've been around for a long time, and so we're not going anywhere soon. So. Thank you for letting me come. Thank you for letting me provide breakfast and network a little bit with you all and become a preferred vendor here.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, we got a quick little video. We had Glenda Baker. Was it 2 years ago she was here? Glenda Baker was here. Did you send me this video? We got a quick little, I think this is appropriate for real estate agents. So if you don't get a laugh out of this, you should. It is sad and true and funny all at the same time.
So once upon a time, I sold a big ass house and I made $137,000 in commission on that one house. And rather than taking that money and investing it in real estate, I went and bought a brand new Mercedes. I went on a shopping spree and I pissed that money away. Instead of buying a townhouse on Lenox Road, it was right in the middle of foreclosure season. I could have bought that townhouse for $100,000. That townhouse today, that in 1995 was $100,000, is $1 million. That Mercedes is worth $0, and those clothes don't fit. This is a cautionary tale. So once upon a time, I sold a big ass house.
You guys know anybody like that? You got that, Don? I don't want you to spill that coffee. I thought that was pretty damn funny. I think I've had those talks with someone. Actually, is Nico in the room? We were talking about Ralph. He grew up in the BJ. Is Deb Isaac in the room? They grew up in the BJ Brown era. And B.J. Brown used to run a brokerage back in the 80s and 90s. And her theory is buy a bigger house, go buy a new car. You want to make more money, go buy a car you can't afford. It'll make you work more and more and more. I do not subscribe to that theory, quite honestly. But it looks like it works for some people because I think Ralph and Deb did okay with that theory. We're going to run here. Do we have Scott? Who all do we have with? Is Scott with the Home Service Insurance? Scott? Is he here? Rita? Okay, I guess they'll be here later. All right, Kevin, come on up. I think we put out an email on Prosperity having some changes last Thursday or Friday. I was in Hawaii, so I'm looking at Scott to see.
You sent it out.
I sent it out. What day did I send that out, Aaron?
It was well written.
Kevin.
So guys, I'm Kevin Terrell, the area manager, and I think I've met a lot of you. As we are going through a change, I wanted to introduce Monica Ledbetter. She is our new manager for the Omaha area. She's actually managing Omaha and Lincoln. She's been in Lincoln for, how long have you been at Prosperity? 4 years? So she's unbelievable. So excited to have her taking over the team here. One of the things, I don't know if you mentioned, we're in kind of an initiative with Home Services to get out and talk to the agents to see what you guys need for 2024. So don't be surprised if you get a call from Monica or one of the loan officers or even your sales managers, because it's a Home Services initiative. We want to know what you guys need from us to help you be successful. So it's called Swarm. Starts with a referral meeting is what we call it. Catchy little term. So do I have 2 minutes?
2 minutes.
Okay.
Is
So,
2 minutes 2 minutes?
Hey guys, one thing that we wanted to talk to you guys about is really important. With the way the market has turned, we know it's not as much fun as it was a couple years ago. It's tough. And so what we see is other lenders and servicers looking at the Home Services model of owning both a real estate and a mortgage company, and they're trying to take your business away. Loan Depot has one, Guaranteed Rate has. They're all buying and taking over real estate companies. They want your referrals. They want those borrowers that you're referring to them, and they're going to turn those around and give those to their real estate companies that they now own. So I would be real cautious, and that's one of the things we want to talk about is how to protect your sphere from, and now loan servicers are getting into it. The people who buy the big bulk of loans, they're starting to partner with real estate companies because they want those loans. They're going to turn those over to the real estate companies. So you'll hear us talk about that a lot because it's something that really has taken off over the last several months as the mortgage industry has kind of dried up and everybody's looking for new ways to make money. So don't be surprised if you hear us talking about that, asking you about that in the one-on-ones. So
Thank you.
quick questions?
Questions?
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Rita, real quick, and then we're going to start getting our panel ready. Well, I guess we're going to put Scott on before we do the panel if we can. Yeah, Rita. Perfect. Is Scott here with Home Services Insurance?
Good morning, guys. I was supposed to have more people up here with me. I don't know where they're at, but I'm here. Seems to happen a lot to me, huh? I'm usually up here by myself. Just wanted to come up here and just a little short reintroduction of myself and Jackie that will probably be running in here any second now. We're up on the third floor. We're part of y'all's team. We're here to work for you guys and with you guys to ensure your clients' homes and autos. Sorry, I ran up the stairs. So basically what we do is we don't harass your clients. We don't call them every day. They get emails from us and just basically saying, hey, if you need our help, we're here. we help them save time by shopping around with several different carriers for them. Sometimes a lot of your clients have to call 5 to 6 different companies in order to get quotes. Well, we do that for them. We shop around through, I want to say, 10 carriers and try to get them the best deal and save them money. And again, save them time as well. Right now, insurance is on the rise. It's because of inflation. As you guys know, I mean, I don't have to tell you guys, the cost, of everything has gone up. That includes insurance as well. So a lot of people have been coming to us from State Farm, from Allstate, saying, hey, the prices are insane right now, and help us, please. And we have been able to save about 80% of the clients. Our rates are pretty competitive. And let me see, I think there's another slide up there that Scott wanted. Yep. So as you know, again, cost of labor and construction materials have gone up, as well as all the claims that all these insurance companies are getting. So the rate increases, and that's why we've been shopping around a lot for a lot of these clients. Again, our job is not to harass your clients. It's not to be bugging them. We don't do sales calls to them. We really just wait for them to respond to us, to email us back, and then that's when we get into contact with them and say, hey, how can we help? What are you paying right now? And let us try to beat those prices. And if we're able to, great. Now, if they show us their policy and they have a great policy, we don't lie to them. We say, hey, you're great with State Farm. Stay there. You're great with Allstate. Stay there. We can't save you money. I think, Vince, you had that issue where we tried and we tried.
My rates keep going up 3 different times. I'm like, come on, damn it.
And he's like, help me. And honestly,
I'm not going to be able to eat
Vince,
this month.
We can't. We try. We try. We just can't beat your company right now. We would love to earn his business, of course, but if we can't do it, we're not going to lie and say, hey, we'll go with this company because they're better, even though you're going to pay $5 more a month. Like, no, but that's not the way we work. So, yeah, we just wanted to come up here and say hello. If you guys need anything, our information it's in there. We're also in the email system as well. I'm Rita at Home Services, and Jackie, of course, Jackie at Home Services, which I wish she was walking in so you could see her, but her picture's right there. You've probably seen her around the office. There she is. But yeah, and in our emails has our cell phone as well. So if you ever need us, call us on our cell phone, shoot us a text. We're up in the office sometimes, not a lot of the times, because we're out visiting other offices and out making connections and networking with other agents as well. Or if you ever just want to call and have a coffee with us, give us a call, and we're more than happy to come have coffee or have some donuts with you guys. We're always down for food.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Have a wonderful day. We have talked a lot in mastermind groups about insurance rates, have clearly went up. We've talked about real estate brokers not doing so well around the country. We've talked about the mortgage industry and really the financial woes there. And it's just been an interesting thing. I'm going to bring Scott up real quick. Shannon, come on in. You're up next, hon. Scott, come on up. Let's talk about a couple things. There's been a couple interesting things taking place here, and I think Scott and I believe the industry probably is going to change more over the next year or two than we've maybe ever seen it change over a short period of time. We saw 2 weeks ago Anywhere settled for $83 or $87 million on this antitrust class action lawsuit, if I'm saying that right. Yep. And just yesterday, RE/MAX settled for $55 million. Right. Berkshire Hathaway is still in this thing. Keller Williams is still in this thing. And NAR has a different thing kind of similar to that. Can you touch base on what has kind of happened, what we tend to think maybe where this thing will end up at the end of the day, and kind of what Berkshire Hathaway stance is?
So how many people know what the lawsuit's even about? That's a pretty good crowd. Okay. So, the lawsuit is filed by class action. You remember the tobacco litigation? These are kind of the same guys. And, what they filed is a class action lawsuit against the big brokers and NAR. And the allegation that they're making is that the MLS requirement that we offer cooperating compensation to buyer's agents creates artificially high commissions and takes the ability to negotiate it away from the buyer. And therefore that it's now a compulsory payment that artificially keeps commissions higher and has impacted and hurt buyers over time because they haven't had the same ability to negotiate the buy side commission as you have with the list side commission. There's another lawsuit soon. We'll get through it.
I hope our insurance is paid up.
Yeah. And then our rates will go up. So
What? How's that work if the insurance company insures the insurance company?
It's going to be expensive. They know what they're doing, unfortunately. And so what they name big brokers. They name Remax. They name Keller Williams, Home Services, and then Anywhere, which is Coldwell Banker, Better Homes and Gardens. What's another one? Corcoran Group in New York City.
ERA.
ERA.
21.
Yeah, you don't see much ERA anymore, but yeah, that was another one. And so and Century 21. That's another big one that they have. So big brand names, including us in Berkshire, and so
And part of their settlement said they accepted that amount of money because they didn't think financially they had the ability to get anything else out of it.
So Anywhere,
Which is talking about
Anywhere,
the-
big broker, right? They settled basically because they said they didn't have the money to continue on to fight. They just had to pay and get out of this thing because they just could not afford to keep litigating. And it's the same thing with Remax, really. Remax has kind of taken that position too. They had to report it to the SEC as to why they were settling, and one of it was financial concerns, not so much the idea that they were going to lose. It's just they couldn't afford to keep fighting. Berkshire has taken the position that this is.
They'll fight till we retire.
Yeah, they will fight. I've never seen them voluntarily write a check for anything. So if they generally.
And as I told Scott when I joined this organization,
Yeah.
the one thing they have no shortage of is accountants and attorneys.
And lawyers.
They got lots of those people.
It's a great company. They love lawyers. And so yeah, I mean, and again, they have we have a very, 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 very expensive attorney who's litigating this for us, and we have taken the position that we don't think this is a valid claim, that it's beneficial for buyers agents to get paid that way. It's beneficial for the clients to get paid that way. That we think at the end of the day that this isn't a valid lawsuit. But again, what we've seen in the last 2 weeks is two very big players have settled. And part of that settlement is that they have agreed to change how they're going to do business. In our Omaha market, that is about 13% of our market. If we take the Coldwell Banker, the Remaxes, and Better Homes and Gardens, that is about 13% of the market. And so there's no way that we're not going to see what happens. Unfortunately, at this point, we don't know what they've agreed to. They've agreed to something. And whatever that is going to impact us in some way. We just have to find out what. And so the next step, when we'll actually figure this out, is they have to file something for approval of the settlement with the court. And this is two lawsuits, one in Illinois and one in Missouri. And so they'll have to file something, and that filing will tell us what they've agreed to do. And of course, that hasn't changed the MLS rules, that hasn't changed loan programs, that hasn't changed any of those things yet, but it's going to happen and we're going to see it. And so the natural path forward is if it ends up with some grand settlement or some grand, lawsuit that ends with, verdicts against, these companies, it's going to change how buyers are going to be paid. And we're already seeing some large MLSs in the country have changed their policy, where it used to require you had to offer something to you don't have to offer anything. Now, you can put in our MLS 1 penny and you've met the requirement. So it's, and that's another argument about why it's always been negotiable. But again, we're going to see it. And I think what we're going to see is, kind of worst comes to worst, it's just not going to be compulsory. And so you're still going to be able to voluntarily offer compensation to the buyer's side. But it's hard not to believe that that doesn't put downward pressure on commissions, on both sides, frankly. And it's also going to make it tougher for buyer's agents to make sure that they get paid. Because if they're not going to be required to get paid by the MLS, and you're going to have sellers in a strong market not having the need to pay, you're going to have to get it from your buyer. And that's going to require us to start thinking more like Commercial Real Estate Agents Act. Commercial real estate agents don't get any guarantees that they're going to get paid when they take on a client. Generally it's negotiated out in the purchase agreement, but there are plenty of large properties that don't offer anything to a buyer's agents when they're selling it. And the way that buyers agents on commercial deals do is they get an agreement in place with their client before they spend any time with them. They say, hey, you're going to pay me this. If I can get it from the other side, great. But if not, you're going to be responsible for it. And that is how it's done. You get a buyer's exclusive agency agreement, and it says what you're going to get paid.
Which is the equivalent of a listing agreement on the seller's side.
It's just the opposite of a listing agreement on the side. And that's what you're going to start needing to do in the future to make sure that you get paid, so you're not spending years working with some client who ends up not paying you at the end. And the other thing I think that we're going to see is it's always negotiated out in commercial purchase agreements. You always put what the commission is, you always put what the split is, and you always say who's getting paid what. And that's why the title company can pay it pursuant to that purchase agreement. I think we're going to have to, if we go to where we're going to end up here, if this is the path forward, we're going to have to start negotiating this stuff out in our purchase agreements. It's no longer going to be on the side. It's going to be right in the middle of it. And it's going to be another term that you're going to end up negotiating. And so I think that, you know, I think that it's a strong possibility as to where this ends up. And it's going to be really important to start focusing on, when we start talking with our buyers, we get buyers exclusive agreements that require them to pay us before we start working with them. And I know a lot of people are uneasy about it. They don't feel like, but it's just going to be the way of the world. It's going to be how you have to do it.
I think we've clearly, anyone that's been around here a while know we've took the strongest stance on trying to make sure that this is a business, that those who are serious about it can make a great living doing it, right? We've took a stance of company policy. We're not paying out less than 2.4. We don't have the ability through these lawsuits probably to go and say, if you don't do this, we're going to do this. But there's already rumblings in this marketplace of some fairly large brokers talking about starting to pay out 2.0 as they're doing in Lincoln. So I can promise you we will do everything that we can legally do to make sure that we're doing whatever we can to make sure that we're showing value for you guys, to make sure that this continues to be a business where we as a broker can stay strong and stay in business and be partnered with you, where you guys can continue to make a good living doing this. But it's going to be a lot of conversations taking place here about what do we need to do. I would start thinking sooner than later, if I was you guys, about, I would look at the broker exclusive thing. I would start getting used to it. You know, we may get to a point where you're gonna have to blame it on us, saying our company just requires for us to work for buyers to have this thing signed. The good news out of that is if your client goes through an open house or for sell by owner or to Celebrity Homes or one of these people and register, you now are gonna be more protected than you've been in the past in some of those deals where, you know, you're coming to our office saying, hey, this happened, and we just really have nothing we can do. But there's going to be a change in the business.
These settlements just mean that we're going to see something happen.
And there's going to be brokers. We already know. We talked about, you know, 7-8 years ago there were 0 discount brokers. The top 50 in the Real Trends and the Riz Media, you know, power broker reports. And I think 2 years ago there was like 7. Discount brokeraging is not going away. But I will tell you, as we're going to hear from a panel, when you have great relationships and you show value and you make things simple and have concierge services, people will pay a premium for value. We're going to have to make sure we're fine-tuning our skills to be more valuable, to have better relationships, if we're going to continue to get paid a premium to what maybe the market is. But I promise you, we will be paying attention to every move that everyone's making, and then probably talking to attorneys more than we'd like to make sure what we're doing is legal, but to make sure we can protect you guys any way we can. So there's probably never been a time in history where the broker and the agents need each other so much as we do today, to be honest with you. So we are here. It's going to be interesting times. I was going to say fun, but I don't really think that's going to be correct.
Any questions I can't answer? Great.
Thank you. Can we start having you guys head up here for our panelists? We got Brown, Pam, and who else do we have? Ryan. I saw Ryan somewhere in here. Can we play that video real quick? Ryan Estes was one of our keynote speakers. One of Ryan's best friends, for any of those who have been around here for a while, is Seth Madison. Scoot the chairs out a little bit, guys. Come out from the wall. Seth Madison, who saw Seth when we brought him to town probably 5-6 years ago? Ryan and Seth are great friends, do a lot of public speaking, and you heard me reference them a lot during COVID. I started having a monthly meeting with them and a couple other CEOs talking about where's the world going, what's going on. I love Ryan. Quick video that Goalcast picked up. If you could hit that light again, Don. Can we hit the lights everywhere? Yeah. That as one of their top 10 videos about 2 years ago, which I think is a great story, but this is a little flavor of Ryan Estes before we jump in this.
Conversation continues, and she's funny. She's asking me questions about my family and our holiday traditions. She's laughing and I'm laughing, and she hands me my drink and says to me, Ryan, have a safe trip back to Cleveland. Go create some extraordinary memories with your family. When you come back through the Minneapolis airport, I want you to stop here and tell me all about it.
Is this the beginning of the video?
I get my drink, I start walking away, and I stop and I look back at this woman, and I think to myself, you know, it's Christmas Eve. Most people would rather be anywhere else in the world than serving coffee in an airport. Not her. It was like she was meant to be there. And I couldn't help myself. I had to go back. So I did. I walked back and I said, "Excuse me, Lily." And she jumps around. "Ryan, is everything okay with the latte?" I said, "No." I said, "The latte is perfect. I just had to come back and ask you, what is your secret to making such meaningful connections over serving coffee?" Well, she corrected me. She said, "Ryan, I'm not serving coffee." I said, "Okay, what are you doing?" And what she told me was, "I'm pouring happiness into people's lives." I said, "You're pouring what?" She wants to be happy in her life. She wants to be around happy people. So she chooses, even on Christmas Eve, to smile, to have fun, to help people, to just be happy. You know, it's interesting, when I met Lily, and she would have had no way of knowing this, but I was pretty heavy in the heart and had a lot on my mind. My parents, both retired school teachers, married 45 years. About 3 months before that holiday, I got a call from Mom. We got some really tough medical news about Dad. And it was a terminal diagnosis, and we knew we probably weren't gonna have a lot of time. So I was sitting in that airport on Christmas Eve, not in the best place in the world. I will never forget that cup of coffee.
Go back to 1 minute and start it again if you can. I want you to see the first part of his interaction, which is the customer service. So I screwed up on telling him when to start this thing.
Never forget that cup of coffee. I was sitting in that airport on Christmas Eve, not in the best place.
Oh, did we cut it off so this is where it
woman
starts?
said to me, "What's your name?"
Forget it. No.
And the conversation continued.
I screwed this up. We'll send it out to everyone. But he got incredible customer service from a lady getting a cup of coffee. He was just listening to her, the relationships he built. And really, these guys are going to talk about, that's what he's going to talk about in our business. Ryan focuses on two things, leadership and sales. So scoot up here, guys. Get out of the cubby hole. Get out of the cubby hole. No? So Pam, let's talk about what were you drinking around the pool? Not the water.
Vodka and water bottles.
Let's start, Pam, with you. What was your favorite session or speaker at the convention, at the summit, and just overall? This was your second time you went, I believe, right?
Yes.
Overall, just impression of going to the summit. And summit, by the way, has 500-600 people versus convention, which is 5,000 or 6,000 people. So it's a much smaller group.
My favorite was Ryan Estes, and if Josh could start the video that I took. This was our highlight during Ryan Estes.
You've got to be finding excuses to reach out to people, to stay connected with them, and show them value. I'm a source there. You need a handyman, you need an electrician, you need a plumber, you need to protest your taxes. Be a source of value for them. Stay connected with them. Tell them you're there for them, right? But also make sure that they understand you want to do their business, and that when it comes time for them to buy or sell, or their friends or families or their sphere, that you want to be referred and you're there. How about a round of applause for that guy?
That guy sounds awful damn smart to me.
So we're sitting in this Ryan Estes inspirational speech, and here comes Vince. So we're looking at it, and I'm like, I think he's wearing the same shirt.
I was. I didn't know he was going to put that video up there, and I didn't know what I wore that day, so I don't think it really mattered if I did know.
So, but it was pretty awesome to see Vince up there. So Ryan came out. He's our inspirational speaker. That's probably one of my favorite things about Summit is to, be inspired and motivated for the next year. He said there was 2 books that changed his life: Think and Grow Rich and Think Like an Immigrant. He said, read those books. He said, out of everybody in this room, only 10 of us will do it, and they changed his life. Don't be average. Average is over. Find out what your strengths and weaknesses are. What can you do to improve, learn, and grow? Have a high degree of action inspections. And fear of failure and complacency will be the end of us. Brand yourself, be consistent, show your value. That is what drives things. Move beyond the transaction and build relationships for life. Deliver on the emotional needs. What are you supposed to be doing and why are you not doing it? So basically, really, the transaction is what we're supposed to be doing. The extra is the value stack, is what separates you and trust. Trust yourself and know yourself. Don't wish for it to be easier, wish to be better.
Justin, your first time at Summit. There was also from Houston, Shannon, what's their name? Stacy and Tracy? There's two brokers from Houston, Stacy and Tracy, who we met at in Nevis at the Berkshire Hathaway owners meeting, who are twins. And they go everywhere together. They usually dress together. And one of them came up to me and says, "Do you have a pair of twins here?" I'm like, "We do. We have twins in Omaha also." So what was your favorite speaker, and what was your I guess overall impression being your first time to Summit?
Actually, it was my first time at a Berkshire event altogether. So Jay's like, "Hey, you want to go to Hawaii?" And I'm like, "Yes, I do." And so it was a ton of fun. A lot of good speakers. I actually really enjoyed Jimmy Burgess. It's the first time I've seen him talk. Really high energy. Had a lot to talk about. It was actually funny. He had blanks in the slides, and he had to ask his assistant, why do I have blanks in my slides? And he's like, "So you stopped talking for just a second," because he's just like nonstop. And all the speakers were really good. I really enjoyed one of the headline speakers, Doc Hendley, Wine to Water, and he kind of talked about his experience about just moving towards his passion, whether it made sense or not. He really just stopped everything and did what was in his heart, and it worked out well. He didn't know if it was going to work out well, but I would.
So what is Wine to Water? What did he do?
Basically, he was a bartender, and he had this vision that wine to water. He didn't know what it meant, but eventually, it was taking water to places around the world that didn't have water, that they could have access to clean water. And so he got clean water to those places, and today he's had 2 million people that they've brought clean water to, and not without its challenges. I mean, there was a lot of heartache and just trouble within the country.
He'd been shot at.
Yeah.
And threatened to be killed by rebels in one of the countries.
And one of his workers that helped him did get shot. They ended up finding him and executing him on the side of the road. So, and just stories like that. And it was really heartache, because it's something that I need to keep doing, and it's something that he did. And I look at real estate, I'm like, I got it easy. I'm like, a lot of people that are out there risking their lives to do good things. Which it was good to hear. Kind of ground yourself, like, we're doing good things, but there's a lot of people out there doing even better and greater things out there in the world. So it was good overall. I mean, I'd not seen Gino in person speak. That was funny. He had some lapse in memory towards the end.
He's older than me.
Yeah.
Lapse in memory comes common at this age.
Yeah, and Christy Budnick, she was fun to listen to. Overall, a great experience. I'm like, well, I didn't go to more of these more often, and had a really good time.
Ryan.
So I kind of noticed a recurring theme throughout the whole thing. It started with I'm going to forget his name again, the Hawaii broker, Paul Kalamakim. He was talking about some of the key Hawaiian words like aloha, house, family, things like that. So I always thought aloha was just hello and goodbye, just kind of the standard greeting. It means love, so it's kind of like the Jewish greeting, shalom, peace, or shalom aleichem, and then the response is aleichem shalom, so like peace to you, like go in peace, and same to you. I noticed that my wife and I, Maggie, we drove around the island, interacted with a lot of locals. We saw that in some very specific examples. So it's they really take that to heart, the concept of loving each other, and that aloha is kind of a constant reminder to like, hey, we're about to interact with each other, let's love each other. We just interacted with each other, let's go and love. I saw that in Ryan's speech. He was talking about how 80% of what we do is kind of the mechanics of whatever we're doing. In that example in the video, 80% of what that barista was doing was just pouring a cup of coffee. That 20% is the differentiating factor. Jim Burgess, he was saying, what did he say? If you assume your client or whoever you're interacting with is going through a rough time, like 80-90% of the time you're going to be right. Again, going back to that video, that barista didn't know that Ryan was dealing with some family health issues. She loved him, and he still remembers it to this day. So that's all fine and dandy, the concept of loving each other, but how does that actually translate into furthering our business and becoming more successful? I really appreciated Ryan's speech because he talked about some more mechanics and more examples of exactly how we can express that love to our clients. Not just a warm, fuzzy feeling we can translate to them, but just going way above and way beyond the status quo of what we can do as real estate agents. His main example that he kept going back to was his clothes salesman. Not just selling clothes, it's like a custom experience. He didn't ask for this, but every Sunday the salesman sends him personalized videos, like Ryan's suggested closet. So he pulls out 5 articles of clothing, says, hey Ryan, I think you might like these because XYZ. Ryan wrote a blog about wanting to buy a car. There were a handful of car dealerships that reached out to him saying, hey, if you come, we'll fly you into Wichita and we'll give you a top of the line experience, it'll be great. He got a handful of contacts like that. His clothes dealership saw the blog, texts him, hey, what kind of car are you looking for? And he ended up buying his new car through his clothes salesman. So what can we do that just blows people out of the water when they think about a real estate transaction?
Yeah, and that clothes company has increased their sales. What was the name of that clothes company? Do you have that, Jay?
Martrick Patrick 3.
They're up in Minneapolis. They've grown 40% year over year, like 5 years in a row. And they said, we got out of the online clothing business. We're not going to compete against Amazon. That's not what we do well. To take that to the next extent, what happens is when he comes in, they set up a private room. They find out your likes, your dislikes, and they set up the room for you. They have his favorite bottle of wine. They have a bottle of champagne. They make that a special experience. He said, I brought Seth in, and he says, you feel so obligated to buy something because they're treating you so well. They got your wine, they got your champagne, they got food. You can just hang out, you can watch TV, you can do whatever you want. But it was really taking it to the next level. And he says, and when you take things to the next level, people will pay a premium for it, which is really relates to our business. You have another thought, then I'm going to let Jay roll.
Yeah, quick thought about paying a premium, because you mentioned that about the commissions. Buyers are still going to be willing to pay our commission if they have to. How many people in this room are holding a Starbucks or Scooter's cup of coffee right now? Probably, yeah, I saw a handful. There's, let's say, 10. There's free coffee right over there, and you all paid like $5 to $7 for your cup of coffee.
They're real estate agents.
Fine, yeah. But it just goes to show.
They don't need money when they've retired.
No, you think it's, no, I'm not bashing that at all, but you think there's value in that, and you're committed to the brand, so you keep paying $5 for your cup of coffee.
Jay.
All right.
Did you have a favorite speaker or session?
I like Ryan and I like Doc.
Yeah.
They were both great. I went to the Hawaii. There was like a breakout session on Hawaii. I just wanted to go and learn more about that. I thought that was really cool. And even piggybacking that, I forget the guy's name that started the Hawaii guy, because they just had all the fires in Maui too. And he was bringing all this up, and it was just a sad moment because we think about we're there for a conference, but he started it off talking about, some of the things that they had lost, and it was just they started, but it was all meant in love, and that the community came together because they had a family member, you know, their kids were at home, you know, so they had high winds, there were fires, things like that. One of the family members like, hey, I just don't want my kid at home. It's really windy out. Took their kids to work with them. There was another set of co-workers that left their kids at home. The fire went through with the high winds, and their kids didn't survive. I mean, and it's just like, then he started talking about, you know, the community and all the Hawaiian culture and stuff like that. But it just kind of grounds you for kind of the experience that we had there, because it was an awesome trip. I had never been to Hawaii before, or the Big Island. When I flew in there, I mean, I didn't expect to just see black rocks everywhere. I'm thinking I'm going to fly in this luscious, you know, lots of trees and all this, and there's black rock everywhere. I'm like, what the hell's this? And found out, you know, part of that island that's on there, that's all, you know, it's
Pretty much,
the
I think
desert.
the whole island is a volcano that exploded.
Yeah,
and
so
that's what you're setting on. Is
half of it is desert, and then the other half you can drive an hour away, and then it's like a jungle. So, which was cool. Justin and I did a helicopter ride, which was awesome to see all the volcanoes and stuff. We were a half an hour away from it, seeing it all erupt. It erupted a half an hour or so later. But anyways, Ryan Estes, one of the ones that he said before he brought up that Martin Patrick 3, the closure, he also has a financial planner called North Rock Leadership. And what they do is their tagline is, through a personal office approach, we surround you with a trusted team of advisors, providing expert guidance, customized services, and bespoke lifestyle management. And so when he talked about lifestyle management, he was talking to, I forget the guy who runs the North Rock, but he called them and said, hey, I just lost my assistant. This has taken me down more than I need. And he goes, well, let us handle that for you. And so I don't think he charged him a fee or anything.
He did charge him a fee, but he said
did.
it was a reasonable fee. I don't know what a reasonable fee is. He gets $32,000 an hour to speak, so
Right.
reasonable to him may be different than reasonable to us.
But the thing is that just like with the closure, like this company went ahead, you know, interviewed Ryan exactly what he was looking for, what the positions. They went out, wrote the description for the assistant, interviewed him, all, and gave him the top 3 candidates, and really took care of the whole process, and ended up getting the best assistant he ever had based off what this lifestyle management that the his company offered.
And it wasn't just about financial. And his whole point was, in both of these cases, it's not just about being in the clothing business. It's not just about being in the financial advice business. It's really, how do we provide an experience that's above and beyond what anybody would expect in the real estate business or the finance business or any business that you're in. And that if you start doing that, that is your customer for life.
Yep. And so he had 4 points that he talked about. One was first, disrupt yourself first.
Well, I can get rid of my phone. That's why I didn't know if anyone was going to do that.
Yep. And I'm trying to remember the points he had on that.
Well, I'll bring my phone back. Impressed, unimpressed, all at the same time.
Yeah. But this, I was trying to read. Let's see here, because that's where I think he started talking about the value stack. I don't know what he.
Hold on, let me go up there. Disrupt. Yeah. So he had 4 points. Disrupt yourself first. Top producers have to be action orientated. They have to always be learners. Success produces compliancy. We can get paid more if we help give clients more time. Meaning that he talked a lot about that he values time more than he values money, and that you have tons of people out there that value time in this fast-paced world more than money. And if you can give them their time back because you're taking things off their plate, they will pay a premium for that. And he really spent a lot of time, I felt, on that subject.
Yeah, he did say that.
Time is the new value proposition was under that point.
Yeah, and he said, I said time is the new service offering.
Yes. So that's my notes under there.
And then I had number 2 was move beyond the transaction.
I agree.
So.
Do you want notes on that?
Yep. I do the bullet point, and then you dive deep.
That's when he started talking about Martin Patrick is a special retailer. It's all about the experience. They move beyond the sales transaction to build a meaningful relationship. They have food for him. They have his favorite wine for him. They have champagne for him. And then he did talk about AI also when he's talking about that. He said, AI, we all are using now, and everyone raised their hand. He says, but AI can only do 80% of your writing. There still needs to be that last 20% where you're putting your personal touch on it, where you're putting your tweak on it, where you're going in there and you're changing that. But use AI as a component to that. But it's really, it's all about the experience there, and that you've got to move beyond what you do to have a relationship more than, they don't think you just of a real estate agent, they think of you much more than that in each one of these categories.
Yeah, and he kind of talked about how to create a human experience.
Yes.
And then number 3 bullet point was deliver unexpected value.
Deliver the unexpected value, and his real estate connection. Okay, so this was interesting because he talked about buying a condo in Minneapolis, and he said his real estate agent, the transaction was a good transaction, but he didn't think it was an exceptional transaction. He says the exceptional part of that was after the fact is that that when he moved in, that what do they call it? That when he moved in, that's what made the difference. That he had
like a stager come in,
it was more than a stage, but they came in. They literally, when he was moving in with the stuff, they're like, okay, put your paintings here, put your couch here, put your chairs here, put your tables here, put your knickknacks here. He says they came in and it was absolutely perfect. And then they've also set him up with someone when he leaves that they go into his house, and they had a name for this. I wish I'm going to text him and find out what the name was. But they come in. He says they're coming in. They're reorganizing my house and they're doing this. He says, and I come back and it's just perfect for me. But he says that's what set them apart, was not the real estate transaction. They did a good job of the real estate transaction, but it's the connection to set them up. And he paid a fee again to have these people come in there to set up the house exactly what he wants, to have them come in after. He says it's those connections to set these people up to give him back time that makes it exactly as he wants, which relieves stress from his life and adds value to his life. I thought that was very cool. I need to figure, there was a name that he had for what that person was, and I don't remember what it was, and for some reason I didn't write it down.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah. I know interior designer, decorator, stages, but that was not the word.
But it was, it was just, it set everything back where he set up the coffee bar the way he,
he says before I had, the coffee here, and he says it's just so much more organized. He says they think about things you don't think about that makes your life easier on a daily basis. So Shannon, get on that, baby.
And then the last point that he had was own the 801 moment.
Yes. Do you want to talk about what the 801 moment is, or do you want me to?
Go ahead. Well, yeah.
He says, what are you going to do at 801? Basically, what did you learn that will help you act and grow and be successful? You need to act on that. A momentum through harmony. That basically, you got to figure out 801, you got to set the tone for the day, right? 8:01 a.m., you set the tone for the day. We've heard this from Gino. We've heard this from other people. It is the morning routine. It is the attitude of the morning that sets the stage to determine how successful you're going to be during the day. But what he said was interesting. I've never heard before. He says there's 2 801s during the day. There's an 8:01 a.m. and there's an 8:01 p.m. And even at 8:01 p.m., then you have to set the stage for the mindset of, okay, as I go into the night, as I'm going to rest, that you need to twice a day continue just to kind of do a reset to make sure that you're in the right state of mind, that you're positive, that you're where you need to be, and you're doing the things for yourself. But that, when you get back, he says, look at all the notes you have. And 8:01 on Monday, what actions are you going to take? And so to me, the coach in me would say, every Sunday night or every Monday morning, you guys 8:01 Sunday night or 8:01 Monday morning, you need to sit down and say, what are the actions I'm going to take, right? What are the things I'm going to do this week, this day, that's going to make sure that I'm going to be successful doing that? So he's big on planning, but he's big on planning in an effective and efficient way to make sure that you're doing things that are the highest and best use of your time that's going to yield you the greatest results. But he's ton, because I know Ryan very well, he's huge into how do I save time, and when I do things, how do I yield the greatest results out of that? And I need to make sure I'm in the right mindset to set the right expectations.
Exactly.
Anything else you want me to talk about? Thank God I'm moderating this panel. Shannon and I went over to Maui for 3 nights after this panel. And I kind of want to go back to what these guys said. And we didn't go over to the burnt side where everything had burned down. They said it was blocked off. But it was amazing. We went to a show, and they thanked us, 10 times on the show. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being here. The hotel, the people serving you, they're like, thank you for coming, thank you for coming. The Uber driver really put in perspective for me when we were going to the airport at 6:30 that night. He said, we need you to go back and tell your friends to come to Hawaii. He says, we can't help our friends and family on the other side of the island. That's how they kept referring it to one side versus the other side. If we're not making a living. He says, this is my 4th Uber drive today. This is 6:30 p.m. I normally would have 30 Uber drives by this time. He says the government's talking about, which is good for everybody here if you want to go to Maui, subsidizing the hotels to substantial. They don't give hotels away in Maui, let me tell you that. Holy shit. Subsidizing the hotels, restaurants, and these type of people saying, we've got to get people over here. He's like, if we can't, what do you say, Shannon, in the next 2 to 3 weeks, turn this thing around, we are in drastic trouble because there's just no, they're losing, was it $7 to $9 million a day was their estimate of revenue coming in there, which is really affecting your bartenders, your waiters, your hotel service people. Like, it's really, really a sad moment there. And so many of these people we talked to did lose family members, and at minimum had someone close to them that lost a house or family member. So if you're thinking about going somewhere, it's a good place to go, but it's really a place that has a deep heart. But they're in a world of hurt over there right now, so keep them in your thoughts. Other takeaways that you guys had from this thing. We do, as we go to convention every Sunday night, we have a cocktail party and we get together, and I always think that's one of the best things that we do at convention, of gathering us together to have some drinks and get to socialize with each other and get to know each other better. We do a dinner on Monday nights when we go to Summit with everybody there, and I think that's always a cool thing to do. I remember Nikos, we were talking about it the other night. He said, Ralph only went to one Summit, and he says the thing that he loved most is when we got everyone together to go have dinner that one night to get to know each other better. And so those are things that we always want to do when we go to these type of events. And I really do think, when I was joking about the pool, one of the cool things is about a summit or something like that is the getting together of people and going and doing things and just socializing and talking and brainstorming and laughing together and just kind of relaxing and having some balance in your life and those type of things, where I think you get to do some of that more than other times. Other takeaways that you guys took from this thing. Wine to water. I'll expand on wine to water if nobody else wants to.
Well, I mean, he did a great. I mean, the way it was is though he was a funny speaker because he grew up. He goes like everybody in his family was successful. They were either world-class athletes or smart as hell, or you know what I mean. And then here's him. He couldn't ever find his path, and he's like, he found his path in bartending. Not that he could pour good drinks, but that he could relate and talk with people and create that relationship. And so he was still going down kind of a dark path, and he was off a bender, and that's where he had this
the vision, wine to water.
Yeah, he just kept on wine to water, and he didn't know what it was. So he goes, well, I know about wine, but I don't know about water. And that's why he started researching it and learning more about it. And he's like, you know what? I don't know what this means, but, I know how to bartend. So I'm just going to, he talked to one of the places that he bartends for. He says, hey, I just want to try to raise money so I can donate it to these services that can do clean water.
For people that don't have it.
Yep. And so he ended up raising, I don't know, close to, he had 4 or 5 events.
5,000-6,000 the first one. They started doing a second one, a third one. Then he went and talked to some CEO of a guy that did it across the sea, or
correct,
in Africa and places like that.
Yep. And the guy said to him, he said, "Hey, why are you doing this?" He's like, "I don't know. I'm just doing it." And so the CEO of this company that he was going to donate the money to, he said, "This is what you need to do." He says, "I'm going to hire you on with our company. I'm going to show you how to do this. I'm going to send you to whatever place you want to go. You're going to learn how to do all of this, how to get the clean water to people, and then you're going to go off and start your own nonprofit."
Yeah, he says, "I'm not going to take your money."
Yep.
He says, but he asked him like 4 times why you do this. So there was a couple things I loved. Is to Jay's point, he says, my grandpa played professional football, and I always want to be a professional football player. I want to be great at sports. He says, I went to football, I went to basketball. He says, when you're asked to sit on the bench, it's really hard to be great. So he said he gave up on that. He says, my sister was valedictorian, and she would come home, and if she had a B, she would cry. He says, I'd come home, and I have a B, and I would cry. He says, for completely different reasons. He says, she was mad as hell, and I was happy as hell. And what I love about the bartender thing, which nobody said yet, he's like, the guy said to him, he says, do you want a job? He says, no, I didn't come here for a job. He says, I have the greatest job in the world. I'm a bartender. He says, and I'm not a great bartender, as Jay said, because I make the best drinks. He says, I'm sure I screw up drinks all the time, and I give them gin when I should give them vodka. But I smile and I talk, and we're happy, and we're having a great relationship. He says, but it's the equalizer. I loved it. He said, I get there, and at the bar, you've got the CEO, and you've got the blue-collar construction guy, and you've got the stay-at-home mom, and you've got the person that just got divorced. He says, they're not coming there judging others. They're coming there to escape, to have a drink. And he said, it allows me to connect with people. And he said, my father was a preacher. And he said, listen, I broke every rule. He says, there's only one thing that my father and I did not ever argue about. And that was serving others. And he said, I was in a dark, dark spot when I had this vision about wine to water. And as Jay said, he said, I search water, I search water, I search water. And he was very emotional throughout this entire speech. I mean, he cried a number of times. But I think the underlying story for him was like, this is my passion. And he said, when the guy said, I'll send you anywhere in the world, he's like, where's the worst place? He says, I screw up everything. He says, so if I go somewhere, I don't want to leave it any worse than I came there. And he sent him somewhere in Africa. And he says, we have these preconceived ideas of these other people in other parts of the world. And he said, I fell in love with these people. He said, oh my God. He said, I can't even believe that I thought negative or in any ill manner about other people. He says, these people have nothing, yet they're so happy. He's right. He says, they have more than we have because they have each other. And he said a mother would get up at 5:30 in the morning, I believe, and get two little kids to walk 5 miles to get contaminated water, which now becomes a 35 to 40 pound bucket to carry back a couple times a day. And the kids were dying by age 5 or 6 as he's doing his research because the water was so contaminated, it was bad for him. So now he went and taught the people. He says people were going in there all the time and supplying water and spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to drill for water, but then it would break down, they'd have no way to fix it. So he says, no, I can't do this. I need to make sure that I teach these other people how to do this so this is sustainable over time. He says, we would just get things, spare parts, and make our own drills for $4,000 to $5,000 versus $100,000. But it was really, for him, his passion and his purpose. Find your passion, your purpose, and you're going to be really successful at it. And so he says, I have a love for these people to help them. And you could see it in his body language, his facial reactions and stuff like that. Jimmy Burgess, we have videos on that we've shared with all of you because Jimmy was at Explosion, talked about AI, talked about connecting to the 5 closest people to you will determine if you're going up or down, get rid of the bad influences, get people to drag you up. I thought, a lot of people did not go to afternoon sessions. That's the reason you hear them talking mainly about the general morning sessions, which I love. Pam, I'm going to go down here 1 minute with each one of you guys to give a parting thought, if you could.
I also went to the Hawaii session, and I did get some stats, which I thought were kind of interesting. The median list price was $850,000, down about 3% from last year. Medium list price per square foot is $700, which is 3% higher than last year. Their medium day on market is 66 days, which is up from 47% last year. And they had 1,264 new listings, which is a 19% drop from last year at this time.
Justin.
Mine is just how you elevate your service to others, and how the market is going to change a lot over the next few years. Just what you guys talked about with the commission and the level of service that we're going to have to bring. And really, with that change in the market, we're probably going to see a lot of, Christy kept on saying it's going to be more of a professional market. Last couple of years, you saw a lot of people just jump in, and they could make money either way, but it's going to become more of a professional market as we go forward. And in order to make it a professional market, what are you going to do to make that happen? So,
Ryan.
One quick thing about the wine to water. he took a picture with these like 3 kids smiling, and it was like less than a week after it was Sudan in Africa. There were some rebels. The whole town got like
Blown
destroyed and pillaged and whatever, this horrible stuff, and yet the kids are smiling. So they had that, just a different mindset than we have. I guess my main kind of takeaway again would be the concept of not just loving people in from your mind and heart and whatever, but how to actually express that to a client, because it's all, oh, Ryan, he meant well, but he didn't give us very good service. It's like, okay, well, that doesn't accomplish anything. But if you can actually just blow people's expectations out of the water and do it from a point of love. If you blow people's expectations out of the water just for the sake of being flashy and cool and wanting to get more clients and stuff, people are going to see through that. I think maybe especially in Omaha. So just being genuine, but also being kind of hardcore with your work.
Jay.
There's a company called RealGrader, RealGrader.com. They were selling a service, but a couple points. He said the 8 sites you need to look at and make sure they all are branded the same, look the same, and work. You need to spend time on Google, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Realtor.com, Zillow, and then he said Homes.com. Homes.com got bought out by CoStar. We probably even saw it like HomeSnap sounds like it might even transition away. It's going to go to Homes.com. So pay attention to those 8 and make sure those all links are working, professional photos, all that. So.
My biggest takeaway is I've heard many of you over the years go to convention, listen to all of our CEOs of the network talk and say, oh my God, why do they keep reading from the teleprompter? They're not very good speakers. And I would argue, and I told Gino this, why Gino screwed up. He was witty to poke fun at himself. It was by far the best speech Gino ever gave. I do know Jimmy Burgess has been working with him. I told Jimmy to tell him to quit reading that damn teleprompter. While he read it some, he was telling a story. And I want to get that story because it was a good story about the Kentucky Derby and the guy coming in 21st place. And so I'm going to try to get a video that he showed and get that story. But it was very exciting to me to see a CEO get up there and tell a story without reading the damn thing from the teleprompter. And I had a number of people there saying, oh my God, that was the best speech he's ever gave. And I told him, I said, go up there, screw up. It's okay if you screw up. Make fun of yourself if you screw up. Telling your story and not being real. Ryan Estes and I were talking about this. Like, telling a story. He says, I would never read off a teleprompter giving a speech. And I told you, Ryan gets $32,000 and teaches people how to do speaking. So I trust his opinion a little bit more than others. So I thought that was a great sign. I loved seeing that. So I hope to see more of that because I think when people come up and they tell their story and stutter a little and stumble a little, that connects them, honestly, I think, with everybody else in the audience more. So I know we're over our time, guys. I appreciate you. I got one last thing, though. This is my favorite event of the year. I would say the 2 best events we have every year are our barbecue grill off, which is coming up next Thursday. I spent a fair amount of time this morning getting some people, and I hopefully have some more texts back to do that. So that is next Thursday. We'd like to have 15. I guess I'm going to be doing ribs. But please, 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 if anyone could volunteer to be to do that, we do that. We'll give you up to $150 for the meat and food you buy. We do need a couple grills also. We've got some here, but we need some additional grills. And then the next one is which we're already planning for, is the trunk or treat down in the basement, which I would say is our 2 funnest events to bring your family, other people at. So please, please put next Thursday on your schedule. Yes.
2 real quick things. Vince mentioned today saving time. Time is money. If you have not worked with Ambassador Title on our Palm agent, today at 1 o'clock on the 3rd floor, we'll be training again. But also Thursday, we talked about connecting with other realtors. Pickleball is going to be Thursday. Register through the OABR office. It is so much fun. You do not have to play pickleball, but just come and mingle. Drinks are free.
Got it. I am running real late. Grace is our good girl, and she's going to present our next Good Guy Award. We need to probably just change it to Good Woman because I don't think many guys are getting this damn award. A little sexist if you ask me.
Unfortunately, this person couldn't be here, but I wanted to make sure to give them a shout out because they're a huge light in our industry. Someone that when I got my license,
Scott, I'm pretty sure it's going to a woman.
Right, so, but I got my wife at 19, and they also got theirs on the number as well. And it was an instant inspiration to me. I've gone to them just for 2 minutes of their time, and they've ended up sitting down to really give me their professional, thought-out opinion, which to me is priceless. And I've also had the joy of working with them on a couple transactions, and something I don't think gets spoken for enough in our industry is transparency. When you have an agent on the other side who's not only transparent with their client.
They can't hear you in the back. Sorry.
Okay.
That's on me.
But when they're transparent with their client, but also with the other agent, it just makes that teamwork to make a smooth transaction that much easier. So definitely appreciate that. They go leaps and bounds to create a wonderful experience for their client, which is what I think as real estate agents is our biggest goal. So with that being said, she also is doing wonderful things alongside of her top producer husband. Will continue to be an inspiration to me and many, many others. So Rachel Skresky-Lurs is our new good gal. So she's out being a good mom, taking Asher to the doctor. So
Thank you. Let's give our panelists a big hand, guys. Next Thursday, please be here for the grill off. If you will be at one of our grillers, get a hold of Aaron. If you can bring a grill, get a hold of Aaron. If not, show up.